did I do? What did I say? I say, good morning, elephant. How do you do? I came to see you this morning. I want to dance with you. Hey. Good morning. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking onto this video. Today we are going to delve into the financials of our Zanzibar trip. And I want you to grab a pen and a paper. No, I'm joking. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk money. Thank you again for clicking onto this video. I really don't know how to go about this video. I'm really not a sit down person, but we'll see what to do. I'm looking down because I have the laptop over here. I did a whole breakdown of the expenses, because when you're traveling with a group, sometimes people pay for each other at some point, and it's easy when you have everything broken down, you know. So yeah, I think I know where to start. I'm gonna start from how we got to Zanzibar. So the transport bit. Perfect. Yay, I got it. So transport. Nairobi to the SGR terminus was at your discretion, depending with where you're coming from. And then from the SGR to Mombasa was 3,000, because it was the VIP section. So it was 3,000 shillings. And then from the SGR terminus to the bus station, which was Takmit for us, that was 200 shillings. We took a matatu. There are many people who are there giving you options to board their matatus, so just get into one. The issue here was we hoped that matatu will get full very soon, so that we don't get delayed and miss our bus to Dar es Salaam. And then from Mombasa to Dar es Salaam, we used the Diani route. I can't remember the border. Let me see if I can get that. I just looked for my passport. I don't know if I'll get it. Oops. But let's see. When did we travel? 2024 April-ish. Yeah, it wasn't so clear. I don't even... No, I think it was April. So it's not that one. Is it that one? No. It's looking... Yeah. That's entry. Namanga. No, that's much. All this... there you go. Hororo, Tanzania. We entered through the Hororo, Tanzania border. So we used a matatu, a bus, Takmit, which charged us 2,500 shillings from Mombasa to to Dar es Salaam. That was like a 12-hour journey. And then, is that it with transport? That's it. When we got to Dar, we slept in a hotel in Dar. We walked to our destination. It wasn't so far off. We just picked a random space in the center and slept there. We just walked with our bags. So that is it with transport to Dar es Salaam. So we're in Dar. Dar, we sleep, we spend the night. The next day we decide to travel to Zanzibar. From Dar from the hotel to the ferry, use the Bolt app. It will give you a very affordable rate. I think it was 10,000 Tanzanian shillings for the whole trip, because it was a short distance. And then Dar by ferry to Zanzibar, we used a ferry and it was 84,000 Tanzanian shillings. That was equivalent to $30. Yes, I think it was $30. So we went with that, paid 84,000 Tanzanian shillings, were upgraded to business class, first class spots. So that was nice. And then we got to Zanzibar. After we got to Zanzibar, we bargained and got a taxi guy. How much did that guy charge us? So what happened is we were going to the hotel in Hiliki, and I think we had made an agreement of 30,000 or something like that. I think so. I can't remember the full amount, but because we ended up paying him very much, a lot of money, because he took us around. We needed to exchange money. We needed to get acclimatized in Zanzibar. We needed to, we had little bits of errands we needed to do. You can refer to this video over here. And yeah, so that made the cost a little bit higher. But again, it depends. They have a list of pricing. I think if I have it, I'll put it here. They have a list of pricing, so you can use that to rate how much they will charge you for a particular trip. I'm sorry, I'm not so helpful with that information. Anyway, so we're in Zanzibar. We decided to use the same guy to take us all around Zanzibar, all the way back to the ferry on our last day. So his name was Adam. I'll put his number over here in case you want to use him. So this is a video for plugs and finances. You know, yeah, so Adam took us around a few, I mean, all these things are bargainable. Taxi from Stone Town to Jambiani, because that's where we went, and that I think was the highest cost in terms of transport, was 130,000 Tanzanian shillings. Amount per person was around 32,500 for the taxi from Stone Town to Jambiani, where we now enjoyed our beach holiday. In Jambiani, we used transport from our hotel to Salam Cave, transport to and from. So this guy waited for us in Salam Cave and took us back. It costed us 90,000. We bargained. I think he had started with 120,000, and the power of a Kenyan, we bargained and got it down to 90,000, which was 22,500 per person in Tanzanian shillings. Guys, I'm gonna give you in Tanzanian shillings and then just divide by 20 to make it Kenyan. So yes, so those transport in and out. We used tuk-tuks, we used things, but all that, I mean, a trip by tuk-tuk should not be more than 5,000 shillings. Yeah, stuff like that. Those small short distances should not be a lot of money, especially if you're sharing. But this was actually transport to restaurant was 5,000, and we divided that by all of us, which ended up being 1250 each. Okay, so that is basically it with transport. Oh, and then transport from Zanzibar to Dar again, that was 84,000. No, but that was, we upgraded, which was 50,000. I can't remember, but it's online, so I'm gonna put it up here so that you can figure that out. I'm sorry, yeah, I seem to have forgotten a few of these presents. I'm actually doing this video in September, full disclosure, and we traveled in April, so some bits and pieces have gone along the way, but bear with me with what I will be able to share. Some of it will be useful, the rest you might have to explore and research and figure it out yourselves. Yeah, so transport, oh yeah, so transport to Dar back from Zanzibar was, I think, $50, which I can't remember in Tanzanian shillings, because we upgraded and went with first class tickets. At the border, at the ferry, when we were buying the ferry ticket, we got a hack. You do not have to travel all the way to Dar es Salaam to board the ferry to Zanzibar. Two things: it's cheaper. It's cheaper to travel to Tanganyika border. The Tanganyika border, get your ferry from Tanganyika border to Zanzibar. It's shorter in period and cheaper, because traveling from Mombasa to Tanganyika instead of Mombasa to Dar will obviously be cheaper and shorter with time. We haven't tried that, but it was something that we were told at the office when we were buying. And Azam said that they do those trips, so you can explore that instead of using, you can explore both routes and see which one will be convenient for you to use in the end. Yeah, so I think that's it. I think that's it with transport. Oh yeah, no, that's not it with transport. So from Zanzibar, the ferry to our hotel was 10,000 Tanzanian shillings, and then from hotel to the bus station, the guy charged the girls 20,000 Tanzanian shillings, if I am not wrong, and I was charged, I think, 15,000 shillings by the Bolt app. yeah, so that was basically it. So for transport, they have Bolt. They have a lot of people who can offer you transport if you just sit down and talk to them. It's good to have the Bolt app so that you can compare prices and tell them this is how much it tells us at the Bolt app. So are you able to match this, or do we just go with the Bolt app? Sometimes they will go a little bit lower, so you can be able to bargain that way. Don't bargain too much because everyone is really trying to survive out here. Don't get them out of their livelihoods like that. Another tip about transport is, I think there's no other tip. That's basically it. A lot of these places are walkable. If you can walk to places, it's advisable. Wear comfortable shoes, walk around. That's how you explore a new country or a new city you're in. You don't explore it while you're seated in a matatu, or a taxi. Sometimes you can, but it's easier when you get lost and then you find your place, and then you get lost and then you find your place. That's the excitement of travel, people. That's the excitement of travel. So yes, that's it with transport. I will go to the next segment. Next segment will be accommodation. So let's get into that. So accommodation, we start with our nights in Dar es Salaam. We walked around and found a place to stay. I think I've forgotten how much they charged us. I think it was 80,000. Yeah, it was 80,000 Tanzanian shillings per room, and we got 2 rooms, so I think that was 160. I'll correct it if I'm wrong. I'm so sorry. It's not part of my notes. I don't know why it wasn't factored in here. But yeah, so we spent a night in that hotel. Maybe because it just had a lot of things and it wasn't too memorable to remember it. But yeah, we spent a night in that hotel, and then we traveled to Zanzibar. We stayed in Hiliki for 2 nights. This one we booked via booking.com. The cost per night was 87.10. This is in Kenya shillings. 87.10 per night. So for 2 nights we paid 17,420, and then this was for 2 rooms for 4 people. So per person we ended up paying 4,355 shillings for accommodation in Hiliki for 2 nights per person. And then we again went to Pilipili Sunrise. Pilipili Sunrise was on the app. This was such a good deal, you guys. Like, we were like, I hope they're not pranking us, because the place was so beautiful. You've seen the videos. Can you imagine how much it was? Yeah, we paid 5,803 per night for 4 people. So per person we ended up paying 1,450. I know, 1,450 per person for that night at Pilipili Sunrise, that first accommodation we got. And then we decided to upgrade because at this point we felt like we're living like queens on a budget. Amazing. How much is your most expensive room? That's how we went over there. And they said Pilipili Boho, the place with the bath, the spa bath situation outside, was 6,733, which ended up being 1,683 shillings per person for that night. Yeah, can you imagine? It was so affordable. And then we went to stay at Stay In the last night, or which technically we didn't even end up staying. We just put our bags in there, freshened up and left, because I was leaving by, I think, midnight. The girls were leaving by around 1:40, because the bus was leaving at 3. We stayed at Stay In, bargained, but got that, I think, no, we didn't bargain, we just asked for a twin room, and we got it at 36.88 Kenya shillings per night for the room itself, which ended up being 922 per person per night for that one night. So in total, if we do this math, let's just do a quick one, because now I'm curious how much it was total per person for accommodation. Our total for accommodation was 8,411 per person for accommodation for 7, how many nights are this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for 5 nights. Because there are 2 nights, 2 nights that were on the road. The night that we traveled to and from, those were on the road, so we didn't really sleep in hotels, but for 5 nights we spent 8,411. Our next segment is activities. Let's get into it. All right, so activities, most of the activities were free, especially the walking around the city. That is free. We didn't pay anything, but let's break it down. So there are many activities and tips. I'll put activities and tips together. So activities will include excursions. Activities will include excursions and things that people ended up just getting money from us because they offered to do something for us. You know, our day-to-day activities in Dar and Zanzibar. First of all, we needed to buy a SIM card to be able to hotspot ourselves and figure out where we are, use Google Maps, you know, just communicate with the outside world without roaming, hence not making it very expensive. So we got a SIM card. Do not get cheated. That guy started with like 10,000 shillings for a SIM card. And I was like, but I know this thing is 500 shillings. I've bought it before. So it was 500 shillings. We got it at 500 shillings. And then we bought airtime for, I think, 30,000. Let me see if it's here. No, we bought airtime for 35,000 shillings. So the airtime, we bought the airtime but said that we want all this airtime to just go to our data so that we can have sufficient data to hotspot 4 phones. So it was 1 phone, which was an extra phone, hotspotting 4 different phones so that we can all just, you know, enjoy our internet without, like we were doing in Nairobi, especially when you're on the road. Can you imagine long travels and you're just there? Yeah, so we used that data to do that. I think we ended up, I can't remember how many GBs that costed, but we bought data for 35,000 Tanzanian shillings. All of it went to data. So maybe you can ask, but it lasted us for 7 days. In fact, by the time we were coming, we still had some change on our phone with some data, but it wasn't too much. And we used that data without limits. Of course, when we were wise enough, when we went to hotels, we switched to Wi-Fi's. But when we were outside in the field, in the spice farm, on the roads, we used our data, and it never depleted. We never ended up topping up. So 35,000 for data, 500 for the SIM cards. That was a total of 8,875 per person in Tanzanian shillings. And then people carried our bags to the hotel because, like I said earlier, we didn't use a taxi. It was a walking distance from Takmid stage to where the hotel was. They offered to carry our bags. It was raining. We were tired. Baby girls are us. So why not? We agreed to tip them per person in Tanzanian shillings. So that was that cost. We went to Spice Farm, which was 40,000 shillings per person. I think I'll write it down here because I know I mentioned it somewhere. It's not on my notes, but I mentioned it somewhere. So Spice Farm, we paid the entrance fee, which is this amount over here. And then we also ended up tipping the guys. The beauty of traveling in a group, guys, is that you divide your tip. If you're gonna tip someone 1,000 shillings, everyone is technically tipping that person 250 shillings. So that was the beauty of travel. So tips are, of course, at your discretion. We tipped, how many people did we tip? We ended up tipping the guide who took us around, ended up tipping the guy who was giving us those items to smell and made those crowns and jewelry out of plants for us. We tipped the guy who took videos and photos for us. And yeah, so we tipped a lot of people. It wasn't expensive. I'll leave that to your discretion. Just decide what you want to give these guys as the spirit leads, really. And then we went to the Salam Cave. Salam Cave already said it was 20,000 shillings per person. I think they said it was 25, but we bargained to 20 because it was Eid Fitri. It was an event. eventful day. They were feeling generous, I think. So yeah, so it was 20,000 shillings per person, affordable to enjoy your time swimming with turtles. That was nice. And then of course, again, even at Salam Caves, someone who took videos of us, we ended up giving them a tip. Those were the main basic activities we ended up doing. We did Spice Farm and we did Salam. Of course, we walked around Stone Town and all those other things, but Stone Town was free. Walking around Stone Town was free. I think I gave you a hack, follow a group of people who have a tour guide, and then you figure out your way around that. But it was basically free to walk around Stone Town. We ended up eating. I think that should be a segment on its own, I think. I don't know how I'll do it, but let me see if I'll figure it out, because food was different for everyone and everywhere. Yeah, so yes, that was it with activities. Let's see if you can talk food and then talk hacks and then finish this video over there. So food, guys, I really don't know how to talk about food. Food was really at each person's discretion. I can give you a range of how much things costed. For example, the food that we had at Lukman, which you saw on this video that I'm linking over here, totaled up to 31,000 Tanzanian shillings, which we divided among ourselves, ended up being 77.50. Sometimes we bought food for ourselves, like we didn't buy as per a group, so everyone paid what they bought. You know, it's quite difficult to talk about food, really. But yeah, food was at everyone's discretion. We didn't really have a budget for how much our food was supposed to cost. Like the last night, which I remember clearly because that was the video I was just editing yesterday. The food there was 5,000 shillings for Esther and I think 4,000 shillings for Mary and Elizabeth. So you see, everyone was paying what they could, what they ordered, not what they could. Everyone was paying what they ordered, and it was at everyone's discretion. If you wanted to eat food for 200,000 shillings, that was on you, as long as you paid for it. Food was quite affordable. It was amazing and yummy most of the time. Mbuyos were also affordable. Different vendors charged differently for their things. It's really difficult to give you a range of how much food will cost, but maybe what I'll advise here is that you go with a range. Say every day I will spend 2,000 shillings on breakfast, lunch and dinner. Also, another thing is that all our accommodations came with breakfast included in the accommodation. Remember that accommodation for 1,000 shillings? It had breakfast included in it. So yes, as long as you have your breakfast sorted, lunch and dinner, you will figure it out. You go through the motions and figure it out. So yeah, that's how our food experience was, really. Honestly, I can't give you an amount, but I will advise that you go with a budget. Say you're not spending more than 300 shillings for lunch, you're not spending more than 500 shillings for dinner, you're not spending, you know, and break it down like that, and then have a budget for every day. I am spending this amount of money for food, and stick to your budget. That's how you stick to budgets on budget trips. Okay? Yeah, so guys, at the end of the day, if we calculated everything, including transport, it was coming to around 45,000 ish. 45,000 shillings. Of course, I switched last minute and got a flight back to Nairobi, so that obviously went a little bit higher. I think the flight was 27,000 from Dar to, was it 27 or 19? But that I can find here in 2 seconds. Let me see. Dar. Confirmation for reservation. Open that. I pay by PayPal. It gives me comfort knowing that my money is going through someone else. I don't know how to explain. My goodness, now one is giving me my figures. Did I delete my receipts? Oh, there it is, I think. Total was, perfect. There it is, I found it. So my flight from Dar es Salaam to Nairobi was bought at 19,150 shillings. And then I upgraded. How much was my upgrade? 90 USD. So that's why I think I was saying 27,000, but I think it was around 30,000 shillings in total to fly business class through an upgrade to Nairobi, and then Nairobi JKIA to my place. Again, depending with how much Ubers are costing at that time, that's how much I paid. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to talk about, people. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. In conclusion, it's cheaper to travel in a group, so that's hack number one. If you can get people that you know you can fit in one taxi, so it's cheaper that way. You divide your money among yourselves when it comes to a taxi. You know it's cheaper to share rooms together, so get a group. It's cheaper to travel in a group. Number two, travel in low season when there are not so many tourists. Things are always obviously more cheaper. Rainy season is obviously cheaper. I don't know about Ramadan. I don't know if Ramadan is a cheaper season, but maybe it is. Maybe it is because there are not so many people traveling. But maybe the Eid Fitri days may be more expensive. I don't know. But it was quite affordable because I think it was the rainy season. Any other thing? Try and exchange your money in Kenya. Especially if you get a very good rate in Kenya, try and exchange your money over here or at the border. Because once you get into the cities, it gets more expensive. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. I hope this video actually makes you want to travel and know that travel is not always very expensive. So I hope that you get an opportunity to utilize this information and plan a trip to Zanzibar or anywhere else. And yeah, go in a group. It's cheaper. Now you know. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. I will see you next weekend. Have a very beautiful one. Bye.